You're listening to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro, a place to learn about how to grow your business and stay ahead of the technological advances before they become mainstream. Welcome to our series, As the Gears Turn, hosted by two of Ingram Micro's SMB Alliance Council members, Devaughn Bittle and Patrick Cash.
Oh, that way no kids walk in.
Yeah, well, those videos are fantastic. Throughout the pandemic, it's like, they're doing like news interviews or whatever, and like the kid walks in and they grab him by the shirt and rip him out of the room.
You know that one where like the guy's doing something and his wife like thinks it's subtle, just like on her hands and knees.
Yeah, she's like crawling on the floor. Yeah, it's like the whole time you can see her the entire time. That's fantastic.
Yeah, we had one of those. I was presenting from a hotel at a conference, and I had the virtual background. And even though I told her, do not go behind me, just in case, she thought she was fine. I'm like,
that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, Devaughn, buddy, I am always excited to do these. I think I'm even more excited today because we're adding a new member to the Pod Squad, as I have so coined us now. We've got Kevin Fraser, president of Eola Technology Partners, also 2023 vice president of the SMBA Alliance Council, and certainly a long-standing member of the SMBA. Kevin, we're absolutely excited and thrilled to have you join us, not only for this episode, but for episodes going forward. So welcome, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Look forward to being here with you guys.
We'll make it easy for you since you're, getting your feet wet for the first time today. And then as an episode, we have Joel Boyd joining us today. He's the director of SMB Solutions and Marketing for Fortinet. Joel, thanks for jumping in with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. So Kevin, welcome. Glad to have you. This is going to be a lot of fun. And Joel, I want to kick it off here with a high-level overview of the products that Fortinet offers. Since many people may not know that Fortinet, all the things that you guys offer, to give you an opportunity to kind of put that out there.
Yeah, and I'll try and keep that, fairly limited. So yeah, just for anybody who doesn't know who Fortinet is, we are one of, if not the preeminent cybersecurity platform company on the market, really helping businesses of all sizes. I think a lot of folks think of us now as enterprise, but the reality is we've been doing SMB stuff for decades, and we haven't really ever lost sight of that focus. So we've got a number of different products out there. So like I said, helping businesses of all sizes, including also service providers, help them building service offerings around our solutions. Now, when I say platform player, I think that can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. And for Fortinet, that is probably what we are known most for. We technically have the broadest product portfolio in cybersecurity and networking on the market. So we've got your networking covered, your security covered, connectivity, to the office, around the office, cloud security, and even cloud-based security with endpoint protection for everyone who's working remotely, obviously, nowadays. Now, everyone says that you're the best. Don't take my word for it. We appear in leadership positions across multiple analysts. It's not just Gartner or the whole bunch of other folks. So hopefully you've already heard of us, but if not, hopefully that's a good rundown.
Well, and so as we're talking about this and kind of kicking things off, one of the things in the SMB space specifically is we're, kind of talking to that audience. They're not keeping up on security. It's kind of like I think you guys coined it like enterprise light organizations. And so it's like dropping a firewall or dropping a switch or dropping an AP. And so how is Fortinet kind of working towards helping us as partners make that next step?
Yeah. And I will say it's not only SMBs who are in that place. Like honestly, enterprises are in the same place. And this kind of harkens back to why a platform is so important. I'll kind of tell you a story about even why I came to Fortinet, 3.5 years ago. Anybody can look at my LinkedIn. You'll see that, oh, wow, he's been at a lot of the bigger platform cybersecurity vendors in his career. But what I really loved about Fortinet is what I would see across our competitors over the years is they kind of abandoned that approach of real platform security. They abandoned their vision, and all of a sudden you started seeing, all the networking stuff was siloed, and the engineering, just did networking stuff, or just did endpoint stuff, or just did cloud. And that wasn't necessarily the wrong thing to do. What a lot of those companies were doing is they were looking at how specifically the enterprise type corporations out there, how they were making buying decisions. And what you realize is for years and years and years, even though we've been shouting from the rooftops that you really need to have a consolidated, tightly knit, woven security fabric, because there are a lot of problems what happens when you don't, that I'll talk about. But what they were realizing is that enterprises were like, we've got the resources, we've got the people. Heck, we started building this thing 10 years ago. We're not going to abandon it. So all of a sudden, a lot of the companies, frankly, I used to work at, started just breaking the platform because they knew that their buyers were just buying in silos anyway. This network stuff didn't have to work with endpoint and cloud. It didn't have to talk together because the buyers were working that way. But what we found is the pandemic broke the camel's back. So like I said, we've been talking about this consolidation requirement for a long time. And the reason that's so important is, and especially if you're a business that doesn't have a lot of people, a lot of resources, et cetera, is if you think about just logically, if we put a whole bunch of products into something that are all supposed to work together, but they're not designed to work together, guess who's got to do that integration? Guess who's got to figure that stuff out? Now, what the pandemic caused is this significant acceleration in businesses having to pivot and adapt to a new world. So all of a sudden, very quickly in the past 3 years, everyone's working remotely. Cloud is a much bigger thing. And just how data and technology is moving is much more complex, which is crazy to say because I think we've been saying, oh, things are complex for like 10 years. And I'm going to be cliche and say, yes, it's going to continue to get worse. It's kind of gotten to a point where humans are never going to be able to keep up with the speed of technology and how fast things move. Your only chance nowadays is to fight technology with technology. So at Fortinet, my joke is always, we may not be first to market, but we never actually broke up our engineering into silos. We've always thought about it as one connected platform, even through our merger and acquisition strategy. So I'm not going to say that we are impervious and we're never doing acquisitions, but we do try to make them, more technology based, not really like, I need to buy this one company so I can hit my Wall Street growth targets for revenue, which candidly, you do see a lot happening in the industry. So we knew and kind of stuck to our guns that everything needed to really work well together. Now, flash forward to where we are now is, and the big joke was when Gartner kind of came out with their cybersecurity mesh approach, and we were laughing at Fortinet because we've been talking about a Fortinet security fabric and now they're talking about cybersecurity mesh. And we're like, really? So now what people are realizing is like, shoot, I really do need to have it all working on one platform. In fact, I was really happy to see, so JP Morgan just did a big market survey analysis on cybersecurity vendors about a month ago. And what they found in their own market research is that Fortinet was benefiting off of our competitors' refresh cycles, which it's kind of weird because usually the incumbent wins that next deal. But what they were realizing is that our competitor or the customers, the businesses were letting go of our competitors and consolidating on a Fortinet's platform because we have such a big portfolio that actually does work well together. It's kind of like once you get through all the marketing fluff and just kind of see whether or not it actually does what you think it's supposed to do, we're kind of winning right now. Are we going to have all the very minute niche bells and whistles that others that are really targeting that 1% of enterprise have? We're working on it. We're getting there, But if you look at the 99% of what folks need, and especially in the SMB, we've got it covered in spades. And, one of the things I also love about Fortinet is we're not necessarily charging this crazy premium for all this bleeding edge, innovation that, a handful of companies actually need right now. So I always like to think of Fortinet as kind of, we're the smart decision. Kind of once you get through everything, just kind of look at what something does, what the performance you're getting for how much money you're putting it in. And what's great for us that we see is everyone's getting smarter about technology year after year after year. I mean, just think about all our kids and nieces and nephews and, what they're doing already at, 10. So it's almost like a smart engineer kind of can look at things and be like, this kind of sound the same. seem to be the same. Why is this one 10 times more expensive? I'm going to go with Fortinet down. Yeah. So it's been a good few years for a run. I'm not going to lie.
Excellent. So Joel, I think one of the big takeaways as an SMB owner myself and working with SMB customers is really how Fortinet has worked to tie everything together and kind of stack on these different solutions. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that for us?
Sure. I give the big sigh because it's like, man, where do I start?
Where do you start?
So I'll take you actually through typically yes, we have this gigantic broad portfolio, of course. But I always, when I'm talking to SMBs or MSPs, is I really focus in on something we call at Fortinet enhanced security. Now, what that means is most businesses, I need a firewall. And Fortinet, we're approaching 50% of market share, 50% of all firewalls in the market are FortiGates. So we're the most deployed firewall out there. So oftentimes we're like, oh, Fortinet, FortiGate, awesome. Let me grab a firewall. And our switching and our access points all connect into that system, again, very seamlessly. And it's great because you just have to program it once on the firewall and just pushes everything down. But kind of where do you go from there? Now, there are a few things that we've got, that we've just released. There's a very light SOC management, detection and response service that's, it's meant to help bridge for MSPs who don't have that full service out there, or for customers who don't necessarily can afford, a full-blown SOC offering. And we started doing that because the threat of monitoring, detection, and response is so big nowadays. We really wanted to make sure that anybody using our products had at least the very basics of monitoring, detection, and response on their firewalls. So we just rolled that out, and it's a great service for MSPs because they can even white label it if they want. And, we'll work with the MSP who can continue to be the face of the customer while they build out those bridging capabilities. But again, that's another service that's built on top of the firewall. Now, oftentimes, we'll talk about, okay, so you've sort of secured the office, if you will. You've got your firewall, your switch, your access point. You've got your threat subscriptions and threat intelligence that's part of the firewall so it can actually do its job. Now you've got the monitoring, detection, and response. So you can, frankly, Fortinet people will let you know, hey, that flood of alerts, don't worry about this one. And we're going to walk you through what to do. But then, okay, so you got your office kind of locked down, but where is everybody now? Everybody's working remotely. So what we've also come out with, and we've had it for a while, but we didn't start promoting it heavily, so folks didn't really know about it until about almost a year ago, is our FortiSASE product. And what FortiSASE does is it really allows you to extend that same office level, visibility to security, and frankly, even experience that users are get used to having in the office when they're working remotely. Cloud-based network, basically your user's going to, connect to the cloud, that we own that entire management infrastructure. You guys don't have to pay for anything. And you get all those same joys and excitement that you got from your firewall pretty much right there as well at that point of where that person happens to be. So you're not having to deal with the backhauling. You can slowly move off VPN, which we are also seeing as a really big trend. There are a lot of issues with VPN, shall we say, not only performance related, but also security related. This is why so many people are moving to zero trust. So all that's already built into our SASE stuff. You don't have to buy the FortiGuard stuff. It's already included. You don't have to buy the endpoint protection. That's already included. You don't have to buy the zero trust network access. That's already included. So we're really obviously excited about that product. It's been doing really well. But really, when I think about just kind of the main stools of what you need to have in the bare basics enhanced security, is it really comes down to that. Your managed firewall with your switch and access points, kind of your network security at the office. You've got your threat intelligence feeds, FortiGuard, that allows the firewall to actually make the analysis of the threats. You've got somebody helping you kind of sift through all the alerts and logs and figuring out what you need to do with our SOC as a service offering. And then you've got FortiSASE, which looks, feels, operates completely the same as the firewall. And that's really what the definition nowadays of simple is with FortiSASE. So you've got that same experience regardless of where people are working, same level of security, same level of visibility. And like I said, everything kind of works together. So you're not managing multiple policies, trying to figure out where things are breaking, where things aren't. The troubleshooting between vendors starts going away. And it just becomes a much easier to manage experience. So if you're an SMB and you ain't got a lot of people and you're starting to build super, super fast because you're building a whole bunch of new technologies, new data's going out places, security doesn't become an issue. Worry about driving your business. Let the security work together as it's supposed to. But if you're trying to point that all together and build it, cobble it together, it's not going to be an easy, simple experience.
So, Joel, I've got a sort of a follow-up question on that. So the managed detection and response and the SIM, the SOC monitoring, if you will, is that staffed 24/7 by Fortinet?
Oh, you've probably done some research, huh? Okay, yeah, no. Oh, now I'll go full pitch into this thing. Now, I'm really excited about this. And because of what it is, so First, let me be very clear. It is not meant to replace a full-fledged SOC tool. We very much want our partners to handle that. And frankly, guess what? We've got SOAR, we've got SIM, we've got EDR, we've got full MDR so that people can build that full service. But what this is that real bridge, kind of in-between area. So it's only for the FortiGates. It is not vendor agnostic. It is our stuff. And honestly, that's what allows us to scale. So to your question, the way we are monitoring everyone's logs and alerts is this product comes with something called FortiAnalyzer, which is included in the license. And it basically aggregates all the logs into the cloud so that our own team of security experts that are around the globe 24/7. And frankly, what we're doing is we're using FortiSOAR, FortiSIM, all our AI and machine learning best practices with our 500 some odd Fortinet security experts to monitor stuff. So we're eating our own dog food. But yeah, if we try to do a whole bunch of different vendors, we wouldn't have that subject matter expertise. So that's what really allows us to scale this.
And as we're talking about the various services, obviously there's the hardware component. As an MSP, we're constantly looking for streamline of service, cost of service, and to your point, having 15 different organizations providing 15 different solutions, integrating that, and then providing that solution to a customer can be super difficult to manage, much less get right. And then, because the landscape is just constantly evolving, the change management that goes into it. So if we're not selling Fortinet today, like I'm not a partner, Kevin's not a partner, Dev's not a partner, whoever's listening's not a partner, whatever the case may be, how do we start engaging with Fortinet and maybe like a recommendation of here's a good starting point, but a quick follow-up to, well, if you start here, you want to add these things. So let's talk about partnership for a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah. And partnership is obviously super important to us. We're 100% partner-driven. We don't take our deals down our own paper. We're always going to farm it out to somebody. So if you're not a partner, easiest thing to do is just go to Fortinet.com. I think it's in the far right-hand area of our navigation. You're going to see the partner section. It's going to allow you to sign up for our partner programs. And that partner program, obviously, the more Fortinet stuff you're going to sell, the higher your discount levels are. But obviously, we've got programs, regardless of where you are within that service, where your business is to kind of help get you to that next level. Now, for MSPs, what we're really excited to kind of start rolling out are really workshops that are designed to really teach MSPs how to build service offerings around our products. And we start I was saying kind of with our managed firewall offering. So all those things I talked about, firewall, switch, AP, threat protection, SOC, et cetera. There is a multi-tenant management solution called FortiGate Cloud that actually allows a lot of our MSP. It's a great solution. You can manage hundreds of customer environments. It's cloud-based so that you can actually do all the services that you need. Now, one of the things kind of talked about it, if we talk to MSPs, what's best practice for really being able to grow your business is the differentiation that MSPs bring isn't always necessarily in the portfolio, but really just customer service. That's really the number one reason a lot of folks will switch partners. Again, one of the benefits of Fortinet is you're going to get anything you might need to build out from one vendor. You're able to specialize much easier. You're able to put together a solution to provide customers something that you can, streamline your profit margins. But we typically say, work with that managed firewall service offering. Obviously, the SOC as a service is great if you haven't already built out a full-fledged SOC. And we just keep on harping on that one. That monitoring and defense market, I think, is approaching over $10 billion in terms of a addressable market. And it's just because there's just so much going on and trying to manage it all. If you don't have that subject matter expertise, it's hard. You got to hire people, you got to find stuff, you got to build the technology. So this is just an easy way for MSPs to kind of get into that market if they're not already. And then from there, there are a lot of different areas. So I talked about the SASE thing. I think SASE is usually the next place I like to go, just because you can't ignore the remote user situation. But one of the benefits of our firewalls is there's a lot of stuff, and actually SASE the same way, already kind of built in, like SD-WAN. So obviously remote branches and whatnot aren't as common as they were, a few years ago, but they're absolutely still out there. So being able to put together a service offering around just managing the networking components between branch offices and making sure that experience works well. That same technology, by the way, is in FortiSASE. So that giant SD-WAN thing that Fortinet's also really known for works with SASE as well, which is great. And so you've got managed firewall, managed branch, SD-WAN, handling remote employees. And then you start getting into, by the way, that alone right there, that's going to keep somebody busy for a while. That's going to make some good money for a number of years.
Definitely.
Once you kind of get past that and you start, getting forward to that, then we're really talking about how are you building out an actual SOC. And we've got situations where we can help folks with that and, obviously the tools and products to build across there. Yeah.
All right. And Joel, I have another question actually. So what about training? What does Fortinet offer free training? How does that work?
Yeah. So there are two different kinds of training. So we've got training if you're just, new to cybersecurity. So that's through our training center, and that's completely free. We opened all that stuff up during the pandemic and we never closed it back down. So, because we want everybody to actually be, smart on cybersecurity to at least the best of their ability. Now, if you're an MSP and you really want to get an understanding of how the products work, you can go through the basics, I think up to like MSC 3 for free. And then once you start getting the higher level certifications, those do cost a little bit of money. That's an investment, but that also starts opening you up into the big levels of partnership, big discounts, and obviously a lot more attention from Fortinet, because that's where the partnership starts really coming.
Cool. So Joel, I have a wrap-up question for you. If you've listened...
Oh, already? Oh.
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun.
Time flies, yes.
So if you've listened to our podcast, you know that we ask this question on every podcast. So hopefully you're prepared for it. So where do you see technology going in the next year?
I will be honest, I didn't prepare for it.
Uh-oh.
Now that you remind me, like, yep, this is coming. Oh, man, the question is it going to be any different than what I said last year? I mean, first and foremost, there's no doubt in this one, the speed of technology. What's driving all this is just speed of technological adoption. That continues to get faster. And I say this every year, which again, then necessitates you just need technology with technology. The thing that I am most interested in and curious about and scared of is AI. I know it's just like, oh, really? Did you really go the AI?
No, it's a good one though. I mean, there's a lot. It's definitely hot.
Yeah, and it's just because so if you think about what an attacker has to do in order to get into your business, what they're doing is they are just basically constantly bombarding your system until something breaks somewhere, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, I got a thing here, and then they start digging. Well, the more they can use AI to, like we always think it's like, oh, AI is going to be a great thing. It's always good. There's a really bad side to AI as well. It's really the power, with great power comes great responsibility. So attackers are using this just build their own algorithms like, hey, if you see this, do this, do this. And that speed of their ability to do this, it's crazy. And then if you couple that with, again, businesses are just adding new data, new users, new all this stuff, it just makes it so much easier. And then on top of it, you've got the social engineering component. If you haven't started playing with ChatGPT and other ones that are out there, I highly recommend you do it just to honestly understand its capability. So you start thinking about, A, how can you use it? But then B, also, how can someone potentially use it against you? I think that's going to be the next frontier, really, is just we're about to go into like this mega Excel. I can't believe I'm even saying this, but just because it's like, every layer gets faster. I think we're about to go into mega acceleration, which is just going to burn out people faster from security because trying to keep up with this is going to be that much harder, which, again, is why a seamless integration automation platform is so important.
It can definitely be overwhelming, that's for sure. Well, Joel, thanks for your time. We've talked about an awful lot here. For those that are interested in finding out more and taking the next steps with Fortinet, what are the best ways to get started here?
Sure. So if you're not a partner already, easiest thing to do is just go to Fortinet.com. You should be able to find the partner section in the upper right hand of the navigation, and you'll be able to find a way to sign up for our partner program, and then we'll reach out to you and kind of get you signed up. And once you're a partner in our program, that's when you start getting, hey, here's how you get certified. We're always doing webinars and teaching people. I've got a new series coming up all around enhanced security from Fortinet and how MSPs can build a business around it. So yeah, I would say if you're not a partner, go ahead and get involved and we'll reach out for sure.
Awesome. Thanks, Joel. And thanks to our guests for tuning in to another episode of B2B Tech Talks As the Gears Turn edition. You can access this episode and many others directly from the Xvantage website.
You've been listening to As the Gears Turn, a series brought to you by B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro. This episode was sponsored by Ingram Micro's SMB Alliance. To listen to this episode and many others, please visit ingrammicro.com.